President Muhammadu Buhari has presented a budget proposal of 8.83 trillion naira before the joint section of the National Assembly for consideration for 2019 fiscal year. The proposed budget shows that 2.14 trillion naira will be used for local debt servicing, while the capital expenditure is expected to go up 2.031 trillion naira. According to the president, 4.4 trillion naira will be used for the current and 492.36 billion naira is statutory transfer, while 120 billion naira will be used for the sinking fund. He explained that the oil benchmark of $60 per barrel, production of 2.3 million barrels per day, exchange rate of 205 naira to dollar, GDP growth of 3.01%, and inflation rate of 9.98%. President Buhari also put the projected oil revenue at 6.97 trillion naira, while non-oil revenue is projected at 1.39 trillion naira.
The 2019 budget proposal is based on the following assumptions. A. Oil price benchmark of $60 per barrel. B. Oil production estimate of 2.3 million barrels per day, including condensates. C. Exchange rate of 305 naira per American dollar. 4. Real GDP growth of 3.01% and E. Inflation rate of 9.98%. Notwithstanding the recent softening in international oil prices, the considered view of most reputable analysts is that the downward trend in oil prices in recent months is not necessarily reflective of the outlook for 2019. However, as a responsible administration, we will continue to monitor the situation and will respond to any changes in the international oil price outlook for 2019. With regard to oil production, I have directed the NNPC to take all possible measures to achieve the targeted oil production of 2.3 million barrels per day. The total revenue is projected at 6.97 trillion naira, which is 3% lower than the 2018 estimate of 7.17 trillion naira, consisting of oil revenue projected at 3.73 trillion naira, while non-oil revenue is estimated at 1.39 trillion naira.
While the 2019 budget presentation was dominated by opposing shouts from the PDP and lawmakers when the president spoke about the administration's achievements over the last 3.5 years, the president, who cautioned the lawmakers before he continued, said the world is watching them, but that did not deter the shouting legislature.
The economy has recovered from recession. The economy has recovered from recession. And we had 6 quarters of growth since then. We have done more work with less resources in agriculture, infrastructure, and social investments. We have built better understanding between the federal government and the states on non-partisan fault lines, in particular intervening several times to support states to meet their obligations, including the payment of salaries and pensions. Sustained development is difficult, if not impossible, in an atmosphere of insecurity and poor governance. We have therefore made strenuous and successful efforts to overcome the insurgency in the Northeast and to resolve intercommunal misunderstanding elsewhere. May I appeal to the honorable members that the world is watching us, and we are supposed
No, it's not true.
We are supposed to be above this.
President Muhammadu Buhari, during the budget presentation, promised a new minimum wage, which he said will help maintain jobs for the teeming unemployed. He added that he's going to set up a special committee to look into the current crisis concerning the minimum wage, would come up with ideal of reducing debt, yet increasing the minimum wage.
I am committed to addressing the issue of a minimum wage, and I will be sending a bill to you, the National Assembly, on this. However, in order to avoid a fiscal crisis for the federal government, as well as the states, it is important to devise ways to ensure that its implementation does not lead to an increase in the level of borrowing. I am accordingly setting up a high-powered technical committee to advise on ways of funding an increase in the minimum wage and the attendant wage adjustments without having to resort to additional borrowings. The work of this technical committee will be the basis of a finance bill which will be submitted to the National Assembly alongside the minimum wage bill. In addition, the technical committee will recommend modalities for the implementation of the new minimum wage in such a manner as to maximize its inflationary impact, as well as ensure that its introduction does not lead to job losses.
The session came to a close with a protest word and sung even as the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Yakubu Dogara, was urged and his remark was brought to an end. Shortly after the budget presentation, President Buhari, some APC lawmakers condemned the action of opposition lawmakers who repeatedly booed the president as he lists his achievement.
For the records, our feeding program alone in schools, school feeding programs, which about 26 states are participating, we have captured over 9 million pupils across the country, regardless of political persuasion, because many of the states enjoying this are even opposition, ruled by opposition party or parties. And therefore, we want to make Nigeria better. We know our limitations, of course. There are people who have ganged up. They don't want development because development will free people from poverty. All they will say is they will go to the rallies and say, there is hunger in the land. There is poverty. Of course, there will be hunger. We are fighting that. We are fighting poverty because you stole everything. Who said there won't be hunger? When one person stole billions of dollars in Lagos alone, in Lekki Peninsula, estates built worth over 37 billion naira. Nobody can come out and say this is mine. But we know these are stolen, created from stolen funds. So we are going to make Nigeria better, and by the grace of God, most Nigerians will be on board. Any Nigerian who wants development, any Nigerian who is honest will pitch his stand with President Muhammadu Buhari.
Trader money, the market money, and all those empower projects are projects that are hitting Nigerians live. And for that, I don't think there's an alternative to President Muhammadu Buhari in 2019. The President mentioned the anti-corruption moves that he's making. And we are seeing that people are being convicted.
Look, Buhari has been president for how long? 4 years. Many of us have been here. These have been here for 12 years. Some of these problems were created because some of us here did not do our job. So what are we talking about? So let's face the truth.
Okay.
And people in the press must help to disseminate the truth, because only the truth will set the people free.
The 2019 budget presentation to Joint National Assembly by President Muhammadu Buhari will be the last to be presented to the 8th Assembly. From National Assembly Complex, Abuja, Muyiwa Bamdele reporting. A bill seeking the establishment of Southwest Development Commission have been formally introduced in Nigerian Senate. The bill, sponsored by Senator Gbenga Ashafa, representing Lagos East, was read for the first time on the floor of the Red Chamber. It is titled Southwest Development Commission Establishment Bill 2018. The move to establish Southwest Development Commission came a week after the Senate passed the Southeast Development Commission Bill. Also last week, Senator Jubri Barak from Kano introduced Northwest Development Commission Bill, which was read for the first time on the floor of the Senate. If passed by the Senate and signed into law along with the Southeast Development Commission Bill, this will bring to 5 number of regional interventionist agencies in the country. Already in existence is the Niger Delta Development Commission Bill and Northeast Development Commission Bill, whose establishment bid received the presidential assent in 2017. Order to be passed first reading on the floor of the Senate are the Bill for an Act to repeal Primary Health Care Development Act, sponsored by Senator Aliu Wamako. Global human rights organization Amnesty International have been accused of commercializing falsehood and fomenting trouble in Nigeria through its constant unfounded report on the crisis in the country. The Middle Belt Conscience Guard, which made this observation, said it was worried over the recent report released by the international organization, which claimed harvests of death in Nigeria following persistent clash between herders and farmers in the country. Addressing media in Abuja, Prince Onoja Ugu, chairman board of trustee of the group, noted that this report issued by the Amnesty International dredged up old pictures and interviews, published them, bestowing upon them a currency that now reopened old wounds. The group also warned the Amnesty International should immediately mitigate the crisis it has instigated, failing which the group shall activate citizen action against it within the limit permissible in the law.
What Amnesty International has done is worse than the actual farmers' herders crisis, which is to cause the warring parties to resume hostilities and escalate the killings. We have genuine concerns that the people will resume murdering each other in response to the Amnesty International's report. It is on this note that we categorically state that we shall hold Amnesty International responsible for any resumption of the farmers' herders crisis, same as we hold it liable for any reprisal that takes place in the aftermath of the publication. We warn the Amnesty International should immediately mitigate the crisis it has instigated, failing which we shall activate citizens' actions against it within the limits permissible in the law. We will not watch helplessly while they destroy our country and run back to enjoy the blood money they have been paid to cause damage to Nigeria. We have accepted that Amnesty International is the latest terrorist group operating in Nigeria, harassing the government and law-abiding citizens with its contrived crisis. Let this international NGO know that Nigerians are not helpless when it comes to dealing with its excesses.
Recall that Amnesty International had in its report claimed that more than 3,600 people have been killed in clashes between farmers and herders in Nigeria since 2016, saying Nigerian government has displayed what can only be described as gross incompetence and are failing in duty to protect the lives of the people.
The Forum of State Chairman of the Social Democratic Party SDP has kicked against the judgment of Justice Usani Baba Yusuf of FCT High Court, nullifying the election of the presidential candidate of the party, Donald Duke. Speaking on behalf of the Forum, Delta State Chairman of SDP, Honorable Oke Idawan, said the party is standing with the mandate given to Donald Duke by the delegates. He explained that the party remains undivided and it will go ahead to prepare for 2019 general election.
There is a court judgment that has taken the party aback. We are here this morning to tell Nigerians that the party remains one. We are here to tell Nigerians that the party is indivisible. We still remain the credible alternative. What we are saying this morning is that we stand on behalf of the 37 chairmen of SDP Nigeria. Here with me are the ESCOs cut across broad. We stand to say here that we stand with the party. Where the party is, that is where the Forum of Chairmen is. We are saying to Nigerians that they should not be deterred, that our teaming supporters should not be scared, that the party will still go ahead with their planned activities to win the presidency come 2019. What we are saying this morning is that Nigerians should stand with the SDP. What we are saying this morning is that SDP, I repeat again, is not divided. Permit me at this juncture to read the crux of the issue, the concern of SDP, on which the court judgment was based on. It states that the president and the national chairman will rotate between north and south. Now, we are yet to be in government. We don't have a president yet. There's a clear difference between a president and a presidential candidate.
Also speaking, Kano State Chairman of SDP, Bello Adu Usani, told journalists the party leadership will stand by the outcome of 2018 October 6th National Convention.
The mandate given by those close to 2,000 delegates can only be taken by their consent. Those delegates are the only ones who have the right to reverse the trends and change the flag era. And we at the party level, the National Working Committee, the Forum of State and SDP Chairman, are ready and willing to stand by any candidate those delegates have chosen among the 5 aspirants who contested. So the irony of it now is that it is not about SDP alone, it is not about 2 candidates, it is about democracy and rule of law.
It will be recalled that Professor Jerry Gana and 3 other contestants, the SDP presidential primary with Donald Duke on the 6th of October 2018. Reporting from Abuja, I am Mildred Choma.